I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't help it. This group here. Hey, it's time for the All-Star Panel. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. We're at Circuit World. And before we get started, I think you all know the lovely lady to my right would be Jane, and her friend would be Rick and Bruce. And that, but I want to say to everyone here, they're busy over at Circuit World. Wednesday, they set up for us. They made sure they had everything turned the right way. This whole entire staff, I wanted to make sure they were here on Friday. They were not here Wednesday. This whole entire staff took Tuesday, turned this store completely around to accommodate all of us for the great show. And thank you for your participation Wednesday that we were able to put together. So I want to thank all the staff here at Circuit World for what they did, getting everything ready for that special show.
How was the feedback been for that show?
I had with a lot of emails, a lot of conversation. Even some people in Atlanta had sent some messages.
Anything from Whoopi or Oprah?
No. Joy Behar did not send me any messages.
Let's send her one.
Yeah, let's send her one.
Angie Hart, Chief Johnny.
Give her the salute. Give Joy the salute from the All-Star Panel.
Yeah.
Folks, for 2 hours Wednesday, I just have to warn you right now, for 2 hours Wednesday, this group, we had to really be serious. I mean, everybody had their blazers on. We were serious.
Dressed up.
So
right.
we may have to laugh a little bit this morning because I feel like we've been in what I call the spin cycle of news. My God, I don't know where to start. But I want to say this, okay? We're talking about, Dr. Whaley brought up cyberbullying, and that, our kids are living on these screens. And, when we were kids, it wasn't unusual that everybody in the neighborhood had a nickname.
It's not unusual.
Everybody had a nickname when we were kids. So, I mean, realistically, Rick, you know this, and I've told stories before. I grew up in a neighborhood, okay? Grew up in a neighborhood, and that was not unusual at all for 10 to 12 10-year-old boys to assemble to play baseball at any time, okay? And if you see any pictures somewhere around 1970 of the kid with the baseball hat folded up in the back pocket, remember you used to fold it this way, right? It went in the back pocket, baseball bat over your shoulder, on the knob, the glove stuck on the knob, right?
On the knob, yeah.
And you had your jeans on, you're headed up, and you're rounding all the guys up in the neighborhood. Yep. Now, I want to tell this, okay? You're rounding, so you're going door to door rounding the guys up. Good morning. I'm not going to say the name, Miss So-and-so. Could Corky come out? Corky gets his bat. Yeah, he really was. So we had a kid in the neighborhood, okay? And by the time we got to this one house, there's 4 or 5 of us. So picture 10-year-old boys knocking on the door, baseball bats, gloves, and there's, So we have a kid in the neighborhood, all right, that his nickname was Toad.
Toad.
Oh,
Toad.
Poor baby.
So he was Toad, all right?
Toad the wet sprocket.
Now, everybody had something that, resembled their nickname. So this kid, won't mention no names, know him still to this day. He walked on the balls of his feet. It's like his heels would never touch the ground. We would always pick on him,
ADD.
Right? And so one kid one day, I think we're 5, said, you walk like a toad. So for the rest of his life, he's toad, right? Your problem with this is you understand what I'm saying, right? Tell the truth. All right, Rick? So anyhow, picture this. So there's the day we're all getting ready to go play baseball. So by the time we get to Toad's house, there's 5 or 6 of us. So we knock on the door, right? You ready for the punchline?
Yeah, we're ready.
Right?
Who's there?
Because we was knocked on the door, so the door opens and there's like we would rehearse it. Okay, so there's 5 10-year-old boys. We would knock on the door. We would rehearse it. The door would open and we'd say, all 5 of us together in song would say, "Mama Toad, can Toad come out and play?" And we would get in trouble all the
Mama
time.
Toad.
Mama Toad. Oh, his mom. We would get in so much trouble.
As you should have.
Yeah.
See,
As you should have. Did that little guy like being called Toad? Or did
no, but I'm not telling you my nickname.
You were a bullier.
We had Corky, we had Toad.
Corky.
The more important question is, was he a good ball player?
Yeah, you had to go get Toad. Toad played second.
There you go.
But then there was Corky. I'm not going to go through the list.
Who's on first?
All right, Glickard, here's the question for you,
Okay,
and I
I'm
want an
ready.
honest answer. Are you telling me that everybody in the neighborhood didn't have a name, and
yeah.
it was not until a certain age before you actually
before you kind
right?
of...
You know
Yeah.
when that age was? When all the guys here it is. All right, I'm having fun. So when all the guys, here's the age where it went out the window. When all the guys finally got to the point and said, "Don't call me that in front of girls," right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Jane, are you
I'm learning all this.
Please,
No later than
This is a
freshman year in high
I
school.
got news for you. We girls called y'all something else.
Yeah.
I mean, hello.
please, when the girls are here, don't call me Stinky.
That was my nickname.
Okay, how do we get this back? I just
Well,
had
you know.
Dr. Whaley said, we had nicknames. If, by the way, I was not the chubby kid in first grade.
Yes, you were.
You said.
Wait a minute. Before we get serious, we have a Rick said he wanted to open the show with something, and what was that, Rick?
Well, we were really serious Wednesday, and we have a lot of fun. I really would like to ask everybody out there, Bruce and I and Brian have been a little bit down. We wanted to have a moment of silence for the resignation of Hope Hicks. What? What? Was that wrong? Was that wrong?
If somebody would have told me that was wrong. Huh? No, I didn't orchestrate. Why do you always think I'm like the one that puts people up to things? Our ladies over here are shaking their head.
The ladies and Brian yesterday had a little back and forth in the office about the about the veritable pulchritude of a woman named Hope Hicks. So I had to go there. Anyway, all right, let's get to
Hope
it.
Hicks has resigned. Okay, let's just basically recap Wednesday in a way of Bruce. What did you think on air? What did you think about our meeting we got together Wednesday and had and the conversation? Maybe let's go like this. What did you hear right here in Blue Ridge, in North Georgia, that you did not hear spun around on the national media?
Well, I think it was a lot of the local issues that the school people have to deal with. The superintendent was talking about, if a kid shows any kind of issue or problem or whatever, they have to go through this manifestation thing, and then it just gets into the gobbledygook of bureaucracy, and their hands are tied. And I think that, and I asked her at the end, I said, do you have any hope this is going to get better? She goes, no, it's going to get worse.
What about you, Jane? Did we peel back the onion some, as they say, in the total subject matter Wednesday that we did not see spun on TV, or what we have been told on TV? Did we dig a little deeper in a different way and bring some things out?
Yeah, I think we did. And one thing that Dane Kirby shared with me yesterday was that there's a website, something about all going on in Blue Ridge or something, I don't know. But they've taken the schools, all the schools in Georgia, and ranked them according to their safety. And the criteria is on the website. And Blue Ridge is like out of, I don't know how many, we're either 9 or 12. I mean, and 5 of them were all Atlanta inner city schools. They're the safest because that's kind of amazing to me. But that is really encouraging, and I will get the link if anyone wants to go see that out to Sam or Amanda. But I thought that was fabulous, that our schools are that safe as compared to other schools in this whole state.
But what about you, Rick, before I move on?
Well, I'm going to be consistent and say the same thing I said to you off, and I said it, I think, in the broadcast. I always had a perception, and it was probably obviously wrong, of some of the resource officers. They kind of, well, I think maybe we need to put this guy as a resource officer or this lady as a resource officer, because they weren't really up to muster on the street. I was really impressed by the resource officers that they brought here. their ability to communicate the level of
Training.
of training, of interaction with the kids, and and again, they walk a fine line. They fill a lot of empty roles that these kids have when they come from a single parent or a broken home or whatever. I mean, these are their role models. So they really came way up in my mind.
Well, I want to say this when you say resource officer. Wednesday, what I wanted to do and accomplish is, I've been watching so much of this spin, and we have this sheriff that in Broward County, just a total disgrace, just total disgrace.
There's a toe.
There's a toe. I knew that was coming.
So
I beat you.
total disgrace. But what did we hear in our brain? Sheriff, and I'm thinking, we have some sheriffs in North Georgia that are constitutionalists. They're
Amen.
They're the opposite. America needs to quit seeing Israel and the word sheriff together. Resource officer, we found out, was a total coward. No matter, even though his attorney sent out a memo saying he is not a coward, is a coward. Did not go in, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, we have resource officers. I'm watching superintendent of school down there. I'm thinking, we have the opposite.
But did he have the protocol drilled into him? Because they say now the protocol for those guys, was to
stand down,
perimeterize, stay out until they have an order to go in.
Well, but I guess what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure, because we are rural America and we're duplicated all across this country. I mean, we're fortunate to live in North Georgia here in the mountains, but this great country, there's a lot of mirror images of where we're at, more than downtown Atlanta, downtown these metropolitan areas. So I wanted to say, hey, out in the rural areas of Illinois, out in the rural areas of Indiana, there's good superintendent of schools. There's a good sheriff. So we put that together on Wednesday, and my takeaway is, I call us the never could happen here zone, and it makes me nervous. And we had Sheriff Stacy Nicholson, and I want to say what you said, I agree 100%, and I'm so thankful for the safety, but we had a sheriff sitting here that can't go into detail in public, but said the next ticking time bomb's out there.
Right.
It's there. And it's here. He says it's here.
And he said, I'm one phone call away from that all going to hell.
Right.
To Bruce's point, though, on that resource officer, if people would really drill down and look at that promise program, I think Bruce's point was that these guys have been indoctrinated, that they're really not police officers when they're there. They're kind of the last resort, because the schools have been urged to take care of all of these problems on the inside.
They're snowflake handlers.
Yeah, they're snowflake handlers.
We have not addressed. We have, but the country's not addressing, because we're led by the liberal media, not us, but the country in general, with not focusing on the breakdown of the system that really happened. I mean, you can watch hours on top of hours, and that's another thing I wanted to accomplish Wednesday, was the breakdown in the system, the entire system breakdown, not the NRA. Okay? The gun didn't get up. You can leave a gun in the center hallway of a school overnight, and it will not get up and shoot the janitor that's mopping the floor. That just won't do it.
But there's a whole segment of the population of the U.S. that says that gun should never be there in the first place.
Exactly.
That's where it
comes
from.
I mean, the SRO officer, I want to double down on what Rick said. The gentleman we had here, sometimes could be the impression of, the sheriff says, hey, you go up and watch the door at the high school. But it is much deeper than that, and the qualifications, and it's just like Sergeant Dotson told me, hey, if you're assigned to a car and there's a bank robbery, you go in the bank. You either make the determination you're going to go in or don't do the job. And I was impressed. I want to say that also.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that.
You just wonder sometimes how they make the leap, how people in the U.S. make the leap from a tragedy like this, and all of the minutia information, but then the first reaction is, well, let's make the gun age 21. I mean, it's like, I can't even come up with a good analogy right now. There's so many.
Well, the solution, and I say that facetiously, the solution is raise the age, background checks, and eliminate assault rifles or weapons.
Penalize the honest people.
That is the solution that the media is trying to sell, and politicians are trying to sell, when that's the furthest thing from the solution.
But what are they going to do with all the assault rifles, you know, generally speaking, that are out there?
Just
they're not going to take them away from
people. They have them piled up.
So they're not going to sell any new ones? Is that the thinking?
Well,
they don't know.
Because then it just creates a huge hot market in,
it's convoluted.
Gun sales, below the surface.
Totally convoluted.
It's going to be a total hot market.
I'm for background checks. I'm for sure.
I know
but the
that.
thing is, that's convoluted. Does that mean in the first grade we start checking out to see when they get 21? Do we think he might be? I mean, it can be a witch hunt. It's just convoluted, and we have a big issue. I'd like to make one more. What do you call this area? Never happened here, right?
The never could happen here. We live in, I call it the we can never,
go
ahead.
The thing is that I think that could breed complacency. I wish you might think about changing it to it will not happen here. Because you don't want to breed complacent. Oh, it'll never happen here. Go about your own business. Think about it. You weren't meaning it in that way. But
no, I'm meaning it like when
it will not happen here is a pretty good motto. That's going to be mine anyway.
I think he's got a different meaning.
Yeah,
he does have a different meaning.
But 20 years ago, right here where we're sitting, 20 years ago, okay, we would have never thought about 4 individuals in a high-speed chase down 515, pull in a drugstore and shoot at.
My point.
Shoot
exactly. Times have changed.
And when you interview the people, and I call them the satellite trucks run up here, and they interview people, there's always well, we just never thought it would happen here, or or we're up here at the store up here. I'm not going to mention names, and somebody is taking their bank deposit out of the store, and they get robbed into the bank deposit. Well, that's what I call it, the never happen here zone.
I know
that we need to. But going back,
we're perceived sometimes in North Georgia
I agree with what you're saying.
As a soft target.
We're
perceived by some
we're so
as a
complacent.
soft target.
Oh, we're up here in the mountains.
That's what makes me nervous. Let me say on the background checks. Okay, let's go into this. One of my favorite governors is Bevin of Kentucky. Okay, because at the governor's meeting last week with the president, he's basically the only one that stood up and said, hey, let's talk about the culture of morality and the evil of this. Let's talk about the culture of what's going on. And I really like Governor Bevin of Kentucky, because you said you're for background checks. I am with you. But the background check would have caught this individual, they keep saying. But the system did not enter the information. So what good is it?
It's only as good as the information.
Right. It's the chain and the weakest link thing, and it's just such a big issue that I think we're in an uphill battle. And then if the powers that be, I mean, Broward County is Deborah Wasserman Schultz. There is corruptness there beyond belief. So, you have to deal with that. We don't really have that here, but we're going to have other issues. Just like when the superintendents said, we have to have hands off if this child says, I have ADD. We cannot do one thing with them, really, as far as a legality standpoint. So, there you go. It's just very complicated.
My question to Dr. Wilkes Wednesday, she's superintendent of schools of Gilmer County. My question to Dr. Wilkes is exactly, I think it's not 74 or whatever, the disabilities, educating our children in 74, 76 or something like that. But the word accommodate is in the law.
Yeah.
All right. And we've had judges since the 70s trying to disseminate where the word accountability fits in, or accommodate fits in, accommodate. And we heard if little Johnny, and I want to quote her, says he's going to burn the school down. I'm sorry to all little Johnnies out there. That was wrong, but I'm sorry. Okay. It says he's going to burn the school down, right? Mm-hmm. But he was acting out due to his disability.
Yes.
I mean, right here, we heard that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, my concern is how the little guy, Toad, how that individual
I like Frog Bear.
got determined to have the disability. That makes me
Yeah, I'm
nervous.
telling
Oh, I
you,
thought you were going to have
hello.
Toad take a bat to little Johnny.
No, that makes me. I know you've heard that over and over. You're tired of it, but the mental health
No, it makes me very nervous.
makes me
too.
nervous of who we're going to allow to make the determination that there is a disability.
Oh,
That-
yeah.
Listen, I have a daughter who they said had ADD, ADHD, this and that and the other, and then finally when she was 25, she went through extensive tests. And we come to find out she doesn't have ADHD. She didn't have it the whole time. She has something else. The reason I'm bringing that personal thing is that whoever's testing, whoever's doing this, these psychologists and psychiatrists, I have to tell you, are making a subjective decision. They have their rules, they have their tests, they have their everything. But in the end, they can say what they're going to say, they can interpret what they want to interpret, and that is terrifying.
See, I think
Oh, go ahead, Bruce. No.
I think it gets back to science. People are always talking about it's
Psychiatry?
fact-based, it's science.
Psychiatry?
Yes. There's people that believe that. Say, are you going to believe a trained psychiatrist versus Rick?
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah, but the
Rick or the psychiatrist?
the idea is
What's the
the idea is they're coming from a science background. It's factual. They can step by step and show you all the things they assess on.
But
and
all
people,
that's subjective
Americans have
a lot
become
of it.
obsessed with science and fact.
Do you know Pavlov kept his children in a cage, modifying their behavior? Did you know that? That's really scientific. Do you know that?
Pavlov's dog, right?
Yeah, Pavlov, that guy.
Same
but he
guy.
kept his kids in a cage to work on his theory of. Now, is that science? I mean, he could say that's scientific. I would say it's cruelty to children. There,
Right.
see, I mean, I'm just making the point that
No, I understand what you're saying, but again, I just think there's so much, people say, well, if it isn't fact-based, and,
Right,
there's not good science
and
on this yet.
That's my point.
But that's what they
Listen.
default to. These kids need accommodation.
But if I want to know H2O, what that is, it's 1 part hydrogen, it's one of those. It's 2 points, one of those, and 1 point, one of those, right? That's science. Psychiatry, even though they say I gave them this test
Wave
and
it to
that
the fans.
test, they say it's science. That's my problem, where it's real, and you're making that exact point. Oh, this psychiatrist said Freud. I won't even tell you what Freud did. He had unnatural relations with his children.
Excuse me.
Check,
Whoa.
please.
Whoa.
Well, I'm just saying these guys.
Yes,
are
please.
full
More
of
water.
That's right.
Okay, Freud, chill.
Sigmund.
Freud. Easy.
Well, I guess I made my point.
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now, I want to say this
Good job.
on a
Unnatural relation.
Oh, that was a pretty good way to.
I just got a Delta internal memorandum that I'm going to read.
They don't give you your discount because you're NRA.
No, I just this
official.
This
Oh,
is
yeah,
top,
we didn't talk
this
about
is
that,
top
did we?
secret information. Okay, I just
Top
got a
secret.
Delta. We'll do that.
They're
in
moving
the
to
break.
Baltimore?
Okay, wait a minute. No, stop. Do not make me.
Come over there.
No, I was going to tell you, all this ADD and HDAD and all this stuff, and you see your daughter,
She has a lot of stuff, but
I
that isn't one.
I see somebody weekly for mine. I really do. I sit down weekly, and I have somebody that works with me with my
Excellent.
He just left, Dr. Whaley. I have to pay. I have.
We gotta
I
do
have
something to pay
I
for
have
this
the
guy.
focus to pay attention to his answers. That was my setup. I have a weekly.
Honey, I have to live with that guy. My brain is tired.
Do you believe
And then he
Dr.
looks at
Wheeler
me.
or Rick?
He looks at me and asks me if I'm paying attention. And it's really funny. Then he'll look over. Sam, Amanda, are you listening? So we all get
anything to get away from a copay.
Yeah, we all get our Friday morning. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to change this up a little bit. We're going to talk about some other things going on, like maybe the Oakland mayor tipping off the bad guys that the
Libby.
I don't even know where to go. The chaos in the White House. They've gone back to Russia this week. That is the code word. Let's go back to Russia. And you would think the biggest concern we have in this country is that Jared Kushner is loose out there without proper security clearance. Oh, right?
Please.
All right, don't worry. We'll be back right after these messages, All-Star Panel.